I have been seeing stuff online on Reddit that it bothers me. The saw doesn't cut straight. This is the complaint. You stick your material in along, and the saw cuts off at an angle. It's been my experience that all these bandsaws do that. So get used to what angle it is. Don't take for granted you're going to be able to go straight down the center unless you draw a line. And I put a piece of tape, a blue tape, on the bed. And then I draw a pencil line on there or an ink pen line where the blade is, so that I can get a good representation of resawing and keep not just pointing here, but point this whole thing at this whole blue line that you create here so that you get a real straight shot. And if you see more tape on this side than you did when you started, you know your board is tipping sideways. So a blue line, just keep this same distance away from that blue line up here, and you can just cruise through without, you'd have a tendency to do this on a big resaw. So for instance, maybe not on a little one like that, but on one that's up here, and you're sawing, say, a narrow panel, and you get it started, and you have to follow that line all the way up. Say you're cutting something an inch thick. That's real dangerous, you know. That's a lot of blade open, and who wants to stand in front of that? But we do that, don't we? So this line gets covered up when you're cutting. This is where a key is supposed to be in here. I lost that some time ago. I used to have it wired to this, and that wire broke, and it's ski-daddled. 10 years old now, maybe 12, 14 years old. It has some issues, but nothing that I can't solve. One of the issues is that you push the button, it doesn't start. The blade will just kind of hang up. And that's either a start capacitor or something else. I'm not sure what it is, but when you push on the blade, give it a spin, you can feel that it has areas that are easier to turn and harder to turn. This could be a sign of a bearing going out or something. Mine doesn't have that, but it just kind of doesn't stay rolling once I get it moving. It doesn't really stay rolling very much. I change the blade really often. You know, the saw is 14 years, but the blade, it could be 14 minutes. I mean, you just hit one thing of metal, it's done. And I don't really have these resharpened anymore. There's really no reliable guy that'll do it cheap. This I changed out. Yeah, these are ceramic guides that I installed because I don't like roller guides. Roller guides are fine for a beginner, but for a big resaw, they just wear out too fast. And these little ceramic guides that are inside there, I seat them down with spray glue. It's kind of a rubber. And so otherwise they just flop around in there, and then they vibrate out, and you got to constantly mess with them. So it's easy to get them back out with rubber cement because it's not solid. It's just kind of bounces. You still break them once in a while. So when I ordered these, I ordered like 10 pieces of each of the kit that goes in there. There's 4 carbides, 2 bottom and 2 top at this, and there's a guide below here that's the same thing, exactly the same setup. And then there's one round one at the back that holds the blade out like this. And you really kind of don't want to be on that all the time unless you're cutting. So you want this blade to not be touching that when you're drawing the band like this. My safety rule is stay outside this area as much as you can. The hazard increases the closer you get to this. So if you have to do something that's real small, you got to think about it. That's why I have all these cuts. So if I'm going to do something really small, I'll just clamp it, and then I can handle it. You know, this one obviously is big. I wouldn't cut that one that way. But something really tiny, say something, you know, for instance, I cut butterflies with this. This is the main tool that I use to cut butterflies. And once you got something small, then you can make pretty accurate cuts with this tool. And when you get to the end, it just cuts in between, and you just don't hit that. You know, you got lots of room to stop. Just don't hit that. If you do, you change your blade again. Doesn't matter how many years it sits on there. In fact, I have some blades I've had for years just sitting under there because I had too many made. And they could be rusty. It doesn't matter. The first time you cut anything, it'll polish it up.
If you like the videos, please subscribe. It helps me do more videos and bring more content to more users. Thank you.
This is a pretty wide blade. I'd never use a thinner blade. The big one has more ability to go straight. A little one makes turns real easy. And so, plus the number of teeth you have per inch. I believe this is called 3/4 tooth. That means there's 0.75 per inch. So every 3/4 inch, there's a tooth. That is right in the range of what I want. This was made by Woodmiser. I get them at Ideal Saw. Check them out if you're in Fresno. Okay, teeth further apart, if I'm not mistaken, are just the amount of shear material in a rough cut that they'll take through. Teeth close together make a smoother cut. You're cutting things like metal when you have teeth that are really close together in the same hardness of material. This is kind of a bimetal blade. I've just always used this on a sawmill, and I use the same tooth here. When I had a bandsaw mill, it's the exact same spacing that I use. It's a real aggressive cut, and it's not made for the finished cut. It's made for the very preliminary cuts. And then you just get smaller and smaller. Just gradually, after this, then it goes to either a planer or a surfacer, and then into the sander. You just keep getting it finer and finer until you dial it in at what size. You never want to use gloves on anything that, thank you very much, anything that has teeth and rotates in any way. It'll just pull you right in. You've got to be super reminiscent of the fact that every time you move from machine to machine, you need to reestablish your safety protocol at that moment and remember what it's going to feel like to visit the emergency room. It'll ruin your day. Take safety seriously, and you'll enjoy your tools a lot more if you don't have to visit the Band-Aid box very often.